This is the Armstrong and Getty Show. Hope you're well. Happy Monday. Received this email from Andre over the weekend. Subject line is, my advice to the sheeple: brush up on your communism survival skills. But he says, I've been an optimist my entire life. Today, it's hard to see, today it's hard to see our collective future in anything but the grimmest of terms. I've always tried to not simply live here, but actually to make a difference, taking pride in the things I've done, contribute to the betterment of our community, in short, to be an American. I emigrated from Romania 17 years ago, 93, so I guess communism was just petering out in that part of the world at that point. And I've done it legally every step of the way. All of my immigrant friends have done it the same way, but one example really stands out and highlights the decadence of the times we live in. I know a couple who came here lawfully in 2001. As a sophomore engineer, she didn't work because she didn't have a work permit. Unfortunately, the company that employed him couldn't afford him 3 years later. They had literally 1 month to pack up and go back home because his legal status had expired. 2 years later, they came back, again with a U.S. visa on their passports. When she was accepted at a college here in the Bay Area, he managed through a stroke of luck to get rehired by the same company he worked for after looking for an avenue to work legally for several years. His wife is graduating with a master's in teaching next year, and she can't think of a way of getting a job since her visa doesn't give her the right to work in the U.S. One more thing, during their entire stay, they've paid taxes. They've never once benefited from a cent in taxpayer assistance, a.k.a. government money. The only help they've ever gotten was straight from their community of friends in financial aid, which they've repaid, and low rent for an extra room I had. Now they've again started a lengthy process of getting his green card without any guarantee that 3-4 years from now they won't have to pack up and leave again. This sounds so much like yet another American success story of initiative, dedication, resilience, and above all, honesty. Or is it nothing more than a couple of idiots trying to follow yet another set of rules that nobody else does? How is it that nobody talks about people like them? For years, honest, contributing members of our society, immigrants, who don't get handed a path to citizenship or demand the rights of those, and then demand the rights of those who've done nothing but to break the law. Have we as a society lost all concept of common sense and all bearing of what's right and wrong? To end on a more optimist note, what's left for us to do? To the screaming feel-good crowds and all you sheeple out there, keep doing what you do, because you're screwed anyway, suckers. Others like me, we'll just brush up on our communism survival skills that we developed under communism and thrive. After all, don't we live in the land of opportunity? Keep it up, guys, writes Andre. And he says, P.S., I really tried. This was short by my standards. Keep them short. Tell you what, multifaceted email there. But we're a nation of immigrants. Puts, the people who sneak across and then say, this is our, Los Angeles, Mexico, like that famous billboard, or demand our rights and demand government money and free education and free medical care, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It groups them in the same category with the people who he's talking about. What are you, anti-immigrant? That may be the single stupidest accusation I've ever heard. And yet, up until pretty recently, it's actually more or less won the day. But then, and this is not the first time we've heard this, but here's a guy who came from the communist bloc who says, oh my God, yeah, we're heading there in a hurry. And there's a separate set of skills for surviving communism, because the whole everybody shares and everybody gets their fair share, and everybody works hard because it's good for the community and they don't care that they're not getting ahead, is obviously utterly laughable. And everybody gets what they can. And it's dog eat dog, but in a black market, off the books, bribing officials, et cetera, kind of way. And he thinks, better bone up on those skills. That's interesting. Elderly Russians will be serving as consultants to the rest of us. They'll be holding classes down at the local community college. So the local communist boss has told you you won't get a license for your T-shirt stand. How do you deal with this? First, you must bribe the local apparatchik. And you're scrolling down on your notepad, bribe local apparatchik. And he's drawn up on the chalkboard. Do they even use chalkboards anymore? Community colleges? Do they use like overhead projectory things? Probably that.
Probably that and dry erase boards.
Ah, dry erase boards, of course. They'll be explaining to you. It'll be like business consultants are now, except it'll be communist consultants. Trying to run a factory and none of the workers ever show up, and when they do, they're drunk because they can't possibly lose their jobs because it's communism. Here's how you handle it. Here's how you keep your factory, or here's how you keep from getting fired and losing your cush communist job because your workers never show up. Here's how you handle it. First of all, you file these papers, and then you write. It'll probably be all those business books. God, we get reams and reams and reams of them. Swimming with the sharks and moving cheese and climbing mountains and whatever the hell else. But it'll be about surviving communism, how to get ahead. The organism will survive. What makes me crazy, though, is I was reading something Milton Friedman wrote, the famous economist, the free market Jesus, if you will, one of them. He wrote this in 1982, and he was talking about the creep of bigger and bigger government and social programs. If he only knew, if he only knew what the year 2010 would look like. But his frustration back in 1982 is my frustration now. And he says, look, we just conducted a 70-year experiment on which of these systems works. And he listed them. In fact, I should have brought it in. I'll bring it in tomorrow. And he listed the various aspects of the deal. Huge government, huge social programs, high taxes, centrally planned economies, government running car companies, etc., versus the free market with all its chaos. And, sometimes you get your head knocked around in the free market, too. It's not perfect. Of course, nothing is. But and he said, we've conducted a 70-year experiment on this worldwide. And the answer is infinitely clear to all of humanity. And yet, we, the American sheeple, are now, bit by bit, increment by increment, backing the losing side as we go forward, which is really astounding. I mean, you got two tribes got the same disease. One tribe uses like antibiotics, and the other tribe shakes rattles over their people, and all their people but 3 die. 10 years later, the disease comes back, and they convince both tribes to shake the rattle. Because somehow, antibiotics got a bad name. In the same way that, like, capitalism is thrown around as an insult these days, or profit. It's funny. I think it was Rush Limbaugh. I was listening to somebody else's talk show the other day. And they listed, the Obama administration, what industries they've demonized. And it was an excellent point. Credit where it's due. Auto industry, pharmaceutical industry, health insurance industry, insurance industry as a whole, doctors. What was there? A couple more. Demonized them all. That's interesting. Thanks for being here. This is the Armstrong and Getty Show. We're wrapping up another grueling 4-hour workday. This is the Armstrong and Getty Show. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks for your calls, your emails. Go to ArmstrongandGettyRadio.com. Have some, number one, you can email us thereby. Keep it short. Plus some really good links and pictures and audio and the rest of it. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless America.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
Okay, folks. Show's over. Nothing to see here.
I love you, and good night.
The worst episode ever.
America, I'm going to shoot straight with you. I think I've wasted your time.
You know what? If you don't like it, go on the internet and complain.
He says he's been playing with a bad neck for about a month and thinks it could be a bulging disc in his upper back.
This is it.
How do you like that?
It's crap.
It's crap?
It's crap.
This is really it.